Welcome back to another Ancient Magus Bride review. Today we're doing episode 8. I'm Justin,
What is up? I'm Logan.
and together we're Couch Talk. So again, before we jump into this, we are anime viewers only, so no spoilers down below. And we're going to discuss this episode and give our scores at the end. You ready to jump right into this?
Let's do it.
So
Let's
first of
let's
all,
roll.
yes, let's go through this episode. So the beginning starts off where last time we left off, Chise been stabbed. Elias is not looking so
He's not looking
normal
very.
anymore.
He's not looking too friendly. He's in like his super beast transformation mode.
Yeah, so it's not looking so hot. And then we get a little background between Ulysses and Isabel. Uh, Basically, she was kind of being bullied, and Ulysses always felt like it was his job to make sure that he was there for her, make sure cheer her up,
Right.
being a great companion that he was.
Because he was just like their dog, right?
Yeah,
Like-
he was just a dog.
Okay.
They didn't. I don't think they ever fully explained how he became a black dog that
Right.
could transform into being a human.
Right.
But it's probably something that happens when you just visit the graveyard over and over for your owner or something.
Probably.
Because they do become like protectors of the graveyard, as we learn later in.
Right.
But so basically, Isabel gets ran over by a carriage. Probably because of the bullies. They said, "Oh, it wasn't our fault. She just ran into the street." I'm sure. I'm sure that's exactly how it went down.
Yeah.
But
Are you thinking those little kids must have murdered her?
I'm not saying murdered, but
Yeah, I'm
this
sure.
scene is just unbelievably sad. First of all, like this has been used. Like anytime this is used in like literature or other stories, like shows with a dog and an owner dying,
Right.
like it always hits me in the feels really hard.
Yeah. Isabel
And this
just.
did it. And
It,
I was like, I was about to cry so much. He's like, Isabel will wake up. I'm not leaving. It's like, dude, Isabel's not gonna wake up.
right.
Crying.
Because it seems like he still had like the mindset of a dog because he didn't really
Yes.
understand like she's dead, which makes it even sadder. It's like, oh, I'll just sit here till she wakes up. And even Isabel's father tries to. He's like, all right, boy, it's time to go. Which I'm pretty sure he just ignores him and stays with Isabel. To it looks like he's dying, like as a dog, like
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, I felt like he was gonna die on top of her grave or something.
maybe that
But
kind of contributed to how he is now or something.
maybe. I wouldn't be surprised. And then Chise finally wakes up and she's just like, it's okay, I'm up. Like, because she has the power, as we saw with the dragon, and now she did it again with Ulysses to see into the past.
Right, to like look into their memories. And obviously since she kind of resembles Isabel, I'm sure it like was like
Yes, it meant a lot more to him than it would anybody else.
right.
Um, and this, we get to transition into this is like super badass, man. Elias is just fighting this praying mantis thing,
It,
and
he's just tearing it to pieces, straight up just
he's just
ripping it to
like
shreds.
eating it. He's like biting through its arm, um, tearing it, and of course, when he just rips off the head with his mouth, I was like, "Oh shit, let's go!" Like you get this guy, Elias, and we get evil sorcerer's name here,
Yeah, it's like
Cartaphilus.
Cartaphilus, which
Yes.
when Elias said that, that kind of like triggered him
Yes, he does not like that name.
at all. He
And
like first of all, his tone and voice shifted
They
like
completely changed.
a huge amount. Second of all, it looks like he was like turning into a monster, like because he was so mad.
And yeah, he was definitely transforming. His hand was like massive and like dark. And he was like, "You're just a monster that found a human body." It was like, "Dude, you're a human that found no, a monster that found a human body." And then it's like, he's a human that found a monster body. So it's like an opposite almost.
I wonder if him and Elias are kind of similar to how they kind of retain a human like form. Because he it sounded like the way he said like you're just a monster that found a human body. It kind of made it sound like he knew like or maybe not knew Elias, but like knew of Elias.
Yeah, I think like almost everybody knows of Elias at some point. It's just some might know more than others.
Right.
Um, and he's definitely experimented on himself a lot. Because
this kid's just so freaky. Like the way he can shift from like
strange.
he kind of acts like an innocent little child, and then he shifts into like some psycho crazy murder machine.
Elias is also another murder machine.
Which
Chisei steps in between the two. And thankfully, Renfred shows up. He's here to stop it. So I knew Renfred seemed like a good guy, and he's finally trying to sever his ties here. And
sever his ties by shooting him in the back of the head.
Yes, he shoots Cartaphilus in the back of the head. He's like, "Huh, freak on another freak. Strange." Bam! Just shoots him. And he's like, "I put a spell on it to stop regeneration." I was like, "Yeah, I'm not surprised this guy can regenerate."
Exactly. That kind of caught me off guard, the way he just like shot him. I'm like, whoa. You just straight up just murdered his ass. Well, I thought he murdered his ass.
Yeah. Then Chisei talk with Elias. She's like, "I'm in a lot of pain." It's like, I bet you are in a lot of pain. You got stabbed through the chest. And Elias is like, "Do you find me terrorizing in this form?" She's like, "Well, yeah, but you wouldn't be able to fit through the door."
Right. She really has...
She doesn't care. She, like, Elias is Elias to her. So, like, doesn't matter what he looks like.
Yeah,
he's going to be
that's what I was
going
to say. She really has a lot of trust in him. Because, like, no matter what he looks like, she's like, "I know it's you." She even made a joke about it. Like, "Yeah, your big ass ain't going to fit through no door." But if that was me, I'd be like, "Yes, change back. You're terrifying."
Yeah, so he starts to turn back, and then we get the little interaction between Renfred and Alice, how they're just really close to each other.
Yeah, this kind of reinforces what we were saying, how they're like super close.
And then Cartaphilus gets back up. He ain't going down easy.
He got up
and we
instantly.
do get an interesting point mentioned out from Renfred here, and that's sorcerers don't step into mage territory. So there are some rules set up for the sorcerers.
Right.
We thought they were a lot more like independent and lawless, but there might be some rules.
Do you think that's like
I don't know if it's like a unspoken rule.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Maybe it's like a governed rule, or maybe it's just like
just a code.
Like, yeah, like, hey, us mages and you sorcerers, you stay there, we'll stay here. We won't mess with each other. Which I'm sure we'll start learning more and more pieces of the relationship between mages and sorcerers.
Sorcerers, yes. Especially since I think Renfred and Alice are going to become a lot more reoccurring characters.
Right. They seem to...
Cartaphilus probably will as well, but not as much. Because he's not going to be interacting with Elias and Chisei.
He's kind of coming across as the antagonist.
Yes.
Which I'm pretty safe to say after this episode that's his role. Like...
actually, they do say sorcerers don't step into mage territory. They said that was a tacit agreement. So there obviously was...
Okay.
Let me look up that word real quick. Understood or implied without being stated. All right, that's what I thought. So it's just like we said, an implied kind of like...
Okay.
You don't go in the... When you go in the bathroom, you don't go to the urinal right next to the other guy, right? It's not a real rule, but it's implied.
Yeah, you get... Just give each other, everyone give each other space. No,
Exactly.
we
So
don't need rules on the wall. We all know it.
we we all know. Um, and they're not supposed to mess with like fairies, but of course, Cartophilus, he's like at this point, I don't care. He's just out for himself, which he explicitly says later in. He's just like, hey, I don't really care about others. I care about myself. And if I need the fairies, I'm gonna take the fairies.
Right.
Because he's doing all sorts of weird experiments. It's like he's going for eternal life, uh, which basically he is. Essentially, is what he was saying. So we see Isabel was used for the Chimera, like you thought,
I
but she was not like a dog person as you thought.
right. Yeah. She's definitely
So just
a regular
dug
old.
up out of the grave,
Yeah.
straight up.
This kid is so freaky. I don't even know if he's a kid. I don't think he's a kid. I think he just kind of
No, he's super
he
old. He
just
just looks like a
acts
kid.
like a kid too.
I'm guessing he started experimenting at a young age,
Probably.
and that's why he's not like fully matured. I feel like his like thought process and him as a being is he's not like matured yet. So I feel like he did start experimenting as a kid, so he still has like those kid thoughts.
Right.
And that's why he doesn't look at life quite being as, precious. He's just like, oh, Chise is just an experiment. You can just find another person or whatever.
Right. He even mentions
So,
more of it later, which we can
yes.
get into once we get there.
I am impressed that they had, like, Chise starts getting angry here. This is the first time we've seen it in the series, is her getting angry.
Right.
She's definitely developing a lot as this show goes on.
Right.
From, like,
She's
episode 0 to 1 to here, she's definitely
this is a completely different side. I honestly didn't even expect to see, but she's pissed that she's gonna try and take the dog guy, and she's pissed that that sorcerer manipulated
Matthew and Mina, which I'm actually surprised that they had Cartophilus remember who they were.
right.
Like, he actually remembered the names of them. Usually, bad guys are like, who? Like, I don't
Exactly.
remember. She would have to say something about the cats to make him remember, but he actually remembers the name of his victims, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if it's because he writes them down for his experiments or what, but
Maybe it could have been recent. I don't know. But it is.
but
I did expect him
I
to be
do
like,
like how,
"Who is that?"
yeah, exactly. Um, so we get angry Chisei, and we learn, we get a little flashback between her and Elias, where he's teaching her that like mages can essentially do anything, turn anything to gold, make fishes fly, but they don't do it. Um, I'm not. It's not like I don't think he explicitly says why they shouldn't do it.
It could be like
Um,
another like unspoken rule.
yeah, that or maybe it affects like lifespan, or maybe it consumes a lot of magic or something.
Right. It did help establish like the limits, which there's none. Like there is no
Like
limit
none.
to magic. He said you can do anything. He didn't really go into like how you can do anything. It just or like what the cost is. He's just like, yeah, anything goes. Just some stuff we don't do.
So yeah, she summons a whole bunch of like what wasp bees.
Yeah, they're called they're wasps, but they're called tarantula hawks.
Yeah, tarantula hawks. Fucking terrifying name, dude. And so Elias does try stopping her, but then his arm kind of hand goes away. He's like, she ate a little bit of me. I was like,
Yeah,
it's kind of a weird way to phrase that. She like steal
maybe like her magic,
I think she stole some of his magic.
right?
Is what
Just
I'm guessing,
absorbed.
so.
It, I was like, whoa, what just happened?
He had to like grow back his hand.
But he did eventually. He had to like forcefully stop her. Like he had to like
Yeah,
actually.
so it's actually the opposite way around. Normally it's Chise stopping him from doing something, as we just saw her do with the big form of him. And now he has to turn around and stop her because she was probably going to use way too much magic and definitely shorten her already shortened lifespan even more.
Right. I think he was
So he
worried
had to
about
stop her.
her, probably mainly, but he also mentioned like we don't twist the rules of this world. So maybe he was worried like she might push it further than like not required but recommended, or she's going to go overboard.
She was going to go overboard. And then we get them kind of removed from the scene. They're just teleported out. And we get a little, like, Cardophilus. He's like, what is the purpose of my chimera again? Like, again, this is the whole him being a child still. Like, he doesn't really have a purpose. He's just out there to do it to do it.
Yeah, like
And he's like, oh, well, we'll just find him again in a little bit. Because I still need that dog.
he's so weird. That's
So
just
they were saved by,
it just shows a bit
yeah,
how twisted he is. He
yeah, he is.
cuz like
I don't know if it's just, like, I don't know if I want to say twisted or to the point where, like, he never got to the point to understand yet. So I want to say he's like 12 or 14 or something. So he never got the ability to fully understand.
yeah,
And he just kind of like stopped maturing at that point with some experiment he did.
that can make sense cuz it did mention how like later he was basically what turned immortal or ageless, or it mentioned something like that. But like just the
Yeah.
fact that he's like, why am I doing this? Oh well, I'm gonna keep going after him. It's like,
Yeah,
Jesus.
exactly. And so they were saved by Willis Blue Flame. I think that's what he was called. Um, and he's kind of like, hey, I got you out of trouble. It's
That's
like, please.
hey, got you out of trouble.
It's basically what he's like. And he definitely calls out Ulysses here for not doing his job. He's like, hey, you're not human, nor are you an ordinary dog. Because Ulysses doesn't feel like he is a dog yet. Like, he doesn't quite remember being a dog, or he doesn't want to believe he was just a dog. Because he still wants to believe he was Isabel's brother.
Yeah, he clearly has like a either lack of understanding or just lack of some memory that he might have that turned him into what he is now.
And he's supposed to be a black dog that chases grave robbers. So that's their purpose. But obviously he didn't do a good job if Isabel's grave was robbed of her corpse.
Jesus.
So
He had one job, dude.
one job as a black dog. Couldn't quite do it. So basically to just kind of get out of this predicament, he decides to give everything to Chisei to become her familiar and make a pact. So I do like that. I wasn't sure they did have familiars in this world or not. Like, I knew they could have
Well, I think they mentioned it.
fairies and like, obviously some of them have fairies and stuff, but some of it seemed like more like on mutual agreements, I thought, more so than an actual pact.
Right.
Because I think Angelica mentioned something with hers.
Yeah. I did remember it being mentioned. I can't remember all the details, but I didn't see it like this.
Yes, we actually got the pact as a full.
Like,
So the whole little ritual.
which I guess they just both know off the top of their head.
Yeah, that is interesting. I didn't know how they knew it. Maybe it's just some inert thing.
It probably has to
Like,
do with like if you agree to it, the magic will like guide you through it or something. It's something that really needs explaining, but like I'm just trying to make sense of it, or just trying to, you know what I'm saying.
yes.
But the scene was
And then Cardophilus shows up and ruins everything
Yeah.
again. But you were gonna say
the
something.
scene was
Continue?
spot on.
Yes.
The
I
scene
agree.
always has like, or the show always has like these epic scenes where it like tries to emphasize all the animation and colors, and this was definitely it. Like, this was straight up. It was just cool. I was like, damn, we had no knowledge of this pact really, and they just threw it at us, and I'm like, all right, sweet.
So Cardophilus shows up, and of course, as soon as he shows up, basically Alice just shoots him, removes his arm, And he's like, I'm not gonna return your arm to you, Renfred. And he just grows it back because or puts it back on or something. He's got all sorts of magic coming out. And obviously Renfred doesn't want his arm back because it got used as an ingredient, so that kind of sucks. Your arm taken from you and it gets used for
Yeah,
something.
it's kind of gross. I wouldn't.
He's just without an arm. Carthus can just get his arms back, so there's no point shooting them off. Depending on what the cost, I might look into that regeneration magic if I was Renfred.
Oh man.
And of course, um, so yeah, Cardophilus came for the dog, but the pact kind of made him deterred. Also, we get a new name. His name is now Ruth for Ulysses.
It is much easier to pronounce.
Yes, and I don't know why she chose Ruth. Oh, I want to know if there's a meaning behind it, or if not, just a name she picked out. Uh,
There's probably a meaning. I would bet there's a meaning. Maybe it's like an old. I don't want to say family member. Maybe like an old like servant. Cause didn't her like old family used to be rich? Weren't they in like a giant mansion when she first was found?
I think so.
I don't know if that was hers though. Maybe it's just like an old acquaintance that she used to be like.
Maybe maybe there's not something we'll never know, or maybe there is something we'll find out in the later episodes.
I
Who
would
knows?
bet we'd find out.
So for his first pack agreement, he destroys the heck out of the Chimera. He just one-shots Isabel.
Yeah, I was actually
She
surprised
does.
because like you know how most anime, there's like, oh, we're gonna use your loved ones against you, and then there's like this eternal struggle of knowing if it's real or not. He just straight up went after it. He's just like,
He just made a pact. Chisei reminds him of Isabel. He's got all he needs. Like, and it is interesting here that you see Isabel, after getting torn off, still has some like memory, I guess, to her because she's like crying. Normally, souls are just kind of gone,
right.
and the will list does mention that she has an artificial soul. So that's an interesting tidbit because artificial souls aren't really ever things that are used, like period, in anything. So it is an interesting concept that they're using here that like with the fake body you actually get a fake soul as well and not just a soulless shell.
Yeah.
And Cardophilus here, we get some more conversation between him and the others. He doesn't like the name Cardophilus. His actual name is Joseph, or at least the name he prefers to go by. And he's like, I'm just gonna move on. I lost my dog, but we do get what's it here? Yeah, they ask him about why he's doing what pushes him, and he says, "Well, I want to get rid of all this pain." That's where it's like, all right, so he's going for that immortality, but he doesn't care about the suffering of others because they ask him about it. He's like, I don't care about the others. I just care about myself. I
Right.
gotta make myself remove all this pain. Basically, immortality fixes all
I
that.
think he is technically immortal, isn't he?
Yes.
Because he said like this. Because Renfred.
See, I'm thinking he's talking about emotional suffering because it doesn't feel like he feels pain. His arm blown off. He
Yeah.
got shot in the head. He just fixed his brain, and he can't really die.
Right. Because Renfred mentioned
So yeah,
how he
he's
was.
trying to figure out how to. I guess he's trying to figure out how to get rid of his emotional suffering if he has any of that. So I guess at this point, what kind of pain is he trying to avoid? Or what kind of suffering is he trying to live without?
I'm. It must be emotional. Well, it's definitely emotional. Because he's like, I just don't want. It hurts, and he even admitted like he'd rather make others suffer in his place, or like to help make it better.
Yes, and they're like, I think when he was saying that, they refer to him as he's neither a human nor beast. So he's definitely something, but he hasn't found like where he belongs.
Right.
And that's why they're trying to say he's neither human nor beast, because neither of them would think that way. So there's definitely something going on with him. And he's probably going to be the antagonist, like we said, for sure. And we're going to be dealing with him a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Elias says he didn't know him. So Cardaphilus acted like he knew him, but it's more he knew of Elias. Elias probably just knew of him. But Elias says he didn't really know him, but he knew his name, his real name. So I guess a lot of people know of him as well.
Right.
And Renfred said it's that the Son of God cursed him so that he can never die. So that's where we get the
Yeah.
immortality thing.
I'm guessing. Does he mean
Damn.
like? Is that Son of God? Is he referring to like a certain person who's still like? Is that like a title for a mage, or is he being like literal about it?
Yeah, like could be one or the other, I guess.
It'll probably come back.
I don't know
up.
if you'd give a title as Son of the God. I feel like because of how much the show is attached to actual like literature and folklore and like stuff like that, that maybe Son of God is actually referring to a son of God.
Yeah, probably.
But maybe that I guarantee that's brought back up.
This show does very good of bringing things up and always explaining them.
So now Elias and Chisei have their pet. You can't have a complete home without a pet. Like, I think that's just another one of those unspoken rules, like unspoken things. Like, think about it. Like, I had pets, you had pets, everyone I know had pets in their home. It's just you need a pet to complete your family.
Pets are the bomb.
They're getting married,
They're
so obviously they need a pet.
right.
Granted, their pets a lot cooler.
Their pet is pretty damn cool.
But that's the episode.
Yeah, the only last thing, which they kind of made a cliffhanger, was like Elias, his back, like morphine. It seemed.
Yeah, I think it just because it was such a different form he was in that it takes a while to remove or something. And maybe it got delayed when Chisei ate his hand.
Maybe, I don't know. I think we're gonna see the true Elias soon, because even earlier in the episode, uh, Joseph. I'm gonna call him Joseph because that's easier to say.
Yeah. Well, he said call him Joseph, so that's what I'm gonna do.
He mentioned like you're a human, or you're a monster in human form, and then we got that as a cliffhanger. And they usually don't try and just force cliffhangers. There's usually a reason, or like it's something that's going to be focused on the next episode. So I wonder if that's actually, maybe they just used it as a cliffhanger, or maybe it's actually going to have lots of importance. Maybe he's like using his ability to like contain his human form.
Yeah, we'll definitely gonna be seeing more of it. There's a lot from this episode we're gonna be seeing more of, for sure. So you want to go ahead and get into the scores then?
Let's do it.
All right. You want to start?
Sure. I'll go with a 9. It's just, I love the animation and music. Those are defaults. Those are always defaults when it comes to this anime. Like every time I score, those are always checked as like a freebie because they're just always so good. I love the conflict. I love how they didn't focus too much on the conflict. Like they had a great balance of like explaining things, backstory, and conflict and action all wrapped up into one single episode. They didn't drag it out too long, like I mentioned earlier, like in other animes when someone's loved one is used against them, there's kind of like this drawn out, oh, I can't do it. They mean so much. They kind of just, got rid of that in an instant. But it was just super. It's always, every episode just feels like complete and well paced. It doesn't feel like it skips over things or leaves stuff out. It like always wraps up the episode like neatly into a little present, and it just leaves you wanting more.
All right, so I'm actually gonna give it a 10. This is my second 10 I've going out this fall, which is crazy. But I mean, it's more likely to happen for episode reviews. Obviously, it's less likely to happen for a show. But I feel like this episode just did everything perfect. Like you said, your check marks for music and animation. For me, my big one is characters. I feel like all the characters are just written so perfectly in this episode. We definitely get a lot of development, which is what matters to me most out of the show. Like Chisei's being angry, Elias's he broke character, losing his calm sense, and we see him actually trying to stop Chisei, and it feels more than just like because he purchased her kind of thing. It's like there might be some emotional connection there. Renfred is changing from his, I'm gonna be your puppet to breaking out to being he's severing the ties with someone. And then we get a lot of bits and pieces threaded throughout the episodes, like, oh, sorcerers and mages have this unspoken rule where they're not supposed to be together. So they're not like, even while there's conflict going on, they know how to drop stuff that are important to the story.
Right. It does.
And without actually spending, having a 5-minute long conversation explicitly about story.
Yeah.
Like, it can be told as you're doing other things, and I think they did that really well.
It does a very good job at world building without making you
Yes.
sit there and listen to it.
Exactly. And the emotions were great. Like, this beginning, I was just so damn sad. I was about to cry, actually, with the whole Ruth and Isabel. And they added such a great conclusion to that, where, like, his passing gift was just him licking the tear off of Isabel. So a lot of emotions running throughout this episode. And yeah, it's just a damn fantastic episode. So that does it for our reviews.
Hey,
This is
it's
time.
time. Spiel time.
So as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video. All that truly helps a lot. Yeah, you gotta hit those other check marks.
Always hitting the check marks.
So be sure to comment down below. Let us know what you thought about the episode, what you didn't like, what you liked about it. If you agree with us with our scores, what your scores are. Just no spoilers or confirming, denying theories. There's a lot of anime viewers coming by, and we are anime viewers only as well. So, yeah, just keep on going. So until next time, peace
See
out.
ya.